Welcome back, everybody. In part two, I wanted to go over a little bit about the dig spot. The sad part is we will never know the exact spot, but I think there are some good candidates that I've seen that have a little bit more credibility. I think when you actually take the entire picture and what information we were given from the excavators that dug the thing up. I think if you put all this together, you can make some pretty educated guesses about where it really was. So first, if you came down, we were talking about, we in the Boston episode, he started here at the public library and traveled across the city and ended up here at the park. We mentioned how in the last video there were two ways of getting there. And if you were standing here with your back to the stairs at the bottom of the Copp's Hill Terrace, then you would have everything kind of in front of you to see. So you'd have the Green Tower of Lights, which was the actual lights at the baseball field. In the middle section would tell you it's the middle baseball field. Near those who pass the Coliseum with metal walls. I mean, it could actually refer to the field itself because it has chain link fence around it. But at the same time, it could also be that ice skating rink that's right next to this location as well. You're facing the water. Your back's to the stairs, and now it tells you the place to dig is Feel at Home. And then all the letters are here to see. All the letters were in the Boston image over here. JJP showed us that. But at the same time, Ironsides is right across the water, flying all the flags that potentially could be all the letters as well. So the Feel at Home line is tough because it's in the middle of the verse, and it's all by itself. And so a lot of people have speculated that the take 5 steps from the top of the verse is telling you to take 5 steps from home, and that's where you dig. And I really have to say that I think that's a narrative that's been pushed a lot online that is just completely incorrect. Because we've showed how in either of the two directions you could go, you would have to take 5 steps to get to the park in the first place. And I don't think he used it as a double clue. It says Feel at Home. Like it's at home is the place that it's at. And JJP actually kind of confirmed this recently when he appeared on the Christmas special that was streamed online. He basically confirmed that it was at home plate. Like he knew that much. So when you take a look at the image, what can we take away from this that will help us out? And so, we have home plate here. And there's a couple other things that are nearby it that really can give us an indication of which are some of the possibilities that it could have been. You have this leg that's sliding into home plate. Obviously, it's not sliding in on the correct side. If it was coming from the third base line, that's the side you would be normally sliding into home on. And this leg is here on the other side. It's on the first base sideline of the plate, which doesn't make any sense. So it kind of stands out. And I think it's acting as a little bit of a directional pointer to help us out to know which way to go. The other thing that we have is this shadowy figure up here. You can see it's the legs, the body, and then it just gets a little muddled, like what is really going on here? Well, if you actually look at this carefully, you can see these two things here, and the shadow extends down the pinky as well. This right here is the shadow of a left-handed batter completing their swing. And I'll give you an example of that. I took, for all you Boston fans out there, I took your hated rival Robinson Cano with his sweet lefty swing. And you can see, once the batter completes the swing, how the bat is behind, that would be the shadow going down the pinky. And then the arms would be curling around the body, so that's why it looks weird. Like, what is going on here? This shadowy figure has no arms. Well, it actually does. It's just they're holding onto the bat, which is now on the other side of the person's body. This right here, being a left-handed batter, makes a ton of sense when you take it into consideration with this leg that's on the right-hand side of the plate, because that's the left-handed batter side of the plate. And so there's two things that you could take from this. One, this foot could be pointing to the spot right here, right where the left-handed batter would be standing at home plate. And the other would be, well, when a batter swings, like Cano is doing here, he's taken a step from his initial position to he's stepped forward now to complete the swing. And so if you take a step forward from this spot, well, it goes towards home plate then. and that would be representative of this leg extending out. And maybe this is pointing in reverse here, and it's actually the top of the leg that we need to find the spot. So there's a couple things that would confirm either way, and I'm actually good with either. Like if you believe it's here, I'm good with that. If you believe it's up here one step, I'm good with that. And I think there's evidence to support both. The first would be if it was like a left-handed batter and it was in the actual batter's box. So if you take a look at the image, some people have pointed out that over here, this could be a representation of home plate if you were to continue drawing it out. This could be the bottom of home plate right here. This little arrow then would point in the direction, okay, over here to the side, which would be the same thing. It would be right over in this section, you know, as you were looking at where the toe is pointing. So that's one possibility. Okay, the other possibility comes from the information that we got from the actual construction crew that dug this thing up. They gave us a mark on the plans, and he marked this red X as the spot that he was digging when he hit this thing. This was the hole. Now, an excavator obviously is a pretty big scoop, and this is as close as he could estimate to where he thought this scoop was when he was digging, when he hit that thing. So what I did is, I mean, this is an architectural plan that they gave us, so we know that it's accurate. And so what I did is I overlaid it onto Google Earth and then did a little transition fade to get an idea of the distance. And so let me pause this real quick so you can get an idea. So first thing I did is I measured in Google Earth this line between home and first, and it was exactly 60 feet. So that told me that the Google Earth distances were actually correct, so that when I overlaid this thing as close as I could get it to these four bases, that it was accurate to the scale we were using. So then what I did is I drew a line towards home plate, and I bisected it 2 times. The first time I bisected it is this distance right here is 10 feet from home plate. And then the second line that bisects it is another 10 feet. So this is at 20 feet. So if we were looking to find the distance where this red X is, we're going to be somewhere along this line to the pitcher's mound. And we know that this is 10 feet. So now as we run this thing forward, you can see where that red X is. That's like a single step right there. That's probably no more than 3 feet in front of home plate. And the average step is anywhere from 2.5 to 3 feet. So that would make a lot of sense if you thought it was 1 step in front of home plate based on the image. And you're saying, well, we're going from the left-handed batter and we're taking a single step because this batter has swung and has taken a step. So to me, that makes a lot of sense, and that would put it at this end of this leg, 1 step in front of home plate. Okay, and then like I said, the other way would be if you thought the image itself contained the clue, which I couldn't argue with that either. If you thought that this direction arrow right over here was somehow marking the side that it was on. The simple fact is we'll never know. We'll never know exactly where that cask was because it wasn't accurately dug up and we don't have the exact spot pinpointed. But what I can tell you that for absolute 100% certain is it was not 5 steps north of home plate. It just was not. Like that would put it way up here on the third baseline over here because this is north. And there's no way it was up over here. Like the verse is pretty clear that the steps are either the Cops Hill Terrace steps or the steps on the wharf over here. As I showed you in the last video, the two kind of methods that could have got you there using the verse. So I really feel like it's one of those 2 spots. It was either right in front of home plate or right next to it in the left-handed batter's box. So hopefully that clears some things up for people. I think it's probably the most accurate way to look at the Boston solution. Let me know what you think in the comments.